What's going on, guys? Welcome to episode number 47 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today I had a West Coast producer. His name is OK Coop. He's worked with Whookilledkenny, Casey Veggies, and I actually found out he worked with Sci-Hi the Prince on his No Dope on Sundays album, which I thought was pretty cool because that's actually one of my favorite albums, and I didn't even know he was a part of it. So we had a little conversation about that today. We talked about his work with Kenny and what he's been doing recently as far as like artist development and them kind of working with one another to build a sound up and everything. And later on in the episode, he revealed that he is working on his own music that should be coming out very soon, where he's going to be, essentially being an artist as well. I don't know like the details. I don't know if he's going to be rapping or singing or anything, but he did reveal it's something along the lines of that. So, we can look forward to that coming very soon. I've really been following Coop's work mostly for the past like 5 or 6 months, because I've just been seeing his name pop up every now and again, and so I reached out to him just a few days ago, and we were able to make this happen right away because I had to fill a guest slot this week, so I was like, why not just knock it out now? But yeah, I enjoyed this conversation. I didn't even know that he was from Texas, and he knows vØHn, who was a former guest of this podcast and everything, and we had a good conversation kind of off the recording beforehand and everything. And I also brought up to him Timbaland's autobiography, which I'm gonna have to send him here soon, like a picture of the book and everything, because he said he's gonna read it, because he mentioned Timbaland as one of his main influences as a producer, as well as Kanye and Pharrell, which I referred to in the episode as kind of like the Mount Rushmore of producers and obviously artists too, because they're all artists as well. But overall, this conversation was very organic, very well versed, I think, and I enjoyed Coop's time, and I look forward to seeing what he can do this summer, because he's been working a lot. If you look on his Instagram and everything. He's got a lot of work coming out very soon, so I think this episode was pretty damn good timing, and I hope you guys enjoy. So let's get right into it. All right, well, welcome everyone to episode number 47 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creator Series. Today we have a producer from out on the West Coast. He's worked with Whookilledkenny, Casey Veggies, and many, many more. His name is OK Coop. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm glad, I could get you on the show. I just reached out to you a few days ago, so it's good to kind of have you on here already. Usually I let, people wait a bit. I have like a list going, but I was like, I'm just going to jump you to the front because I had an opening, and I was like, no, I got to get him on there now. So glad to have you here. And to start out, we kind of just have the guests give a little bit of, background as to, how you got into music, kind of where your producer name comes from, all the basic information for people that might not have heard about you before this episode.
All right, no doubt. I live in Los Angeles, but I am originally from San Antonio, Texas, so I definitely represent Texas. I've always been a musician. I was like a drummer. Like I grew up, I was in band all the way through college. I was making beats in high school. I was messing around, and then like my computer, it was like the family computers back in those days, and like they got a virus on it, so I stopped making beats for a while. And then when I was in college, I ended up making beats again, started getting back into it. My buddy showed me how to use Ableton, and this is like 8 years ago. And then just while I was in school, I was always making beats and stuff, and then finally, when I graduated, I just decided I actually take it serious. So, I graduated. I went to Texas State, which is it's a school. It's a university in San Marcos, which is like 30 minutes south of Austin. So it's like the city right between Austin and San Antonio. So that's why I met a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends in Austin as well, and Austin and San Antonio. San Antonio was my first home. Austin's basically my second home, and that's how I came across like Whookilledkenny. He was going by Kenny G back then. We met, a while ago. But after I graduated college, I moved to Houston and was just like working odd jobs, and I was doing beat battles. I was doing beat battles all across the country. I did that for like a year. I don't know if you're familiar with iStandard producers. They throw like beat battles and competitions.
I've heard of them. Yeah, I've definitely heard of them for sure.
Right. So yeah, I was doing that for like a solid year and a half. And then I partnered up with my friend Charity, another producer. And we collaborated, and we ended up winning like the national iStandard beat battle competition. So after that, I was like, dang, there's literally nothing else I can do with the beat battle stuff. I literally I just won as much as I could. And from there, I met a lot of cool people and stuff. And from there, after just being in Houston for a while, I was kind of feeling kind of stagnant. And I moved, so me and my friend Charity, we moved to Atlanta just to get out of Texas. And that's when some cool things started to happen. You start meeting people. You grow a little bit once you leave your current environment. Mm-hmm. That's how I got like the Sci-Hi placement, which was cool. Like my first major label placement. And yeah, from there, I was in Atlanta for about 10 months, and then Kenny's originally from Austin. He told me he's like, I gotta get out of Texas. He was trying to move to Los Angeles, and I've always wanted to move to LA. I just wanted to be like the right opportunity, the right chance, and my vision was always to break an artist. That's like always been like what I want to do in the music industry. I always want to make a cool like hit record or whatever, but I always wanted to be like a part of something. I always wanted to be a part of like just a part of bringing something new to the industry and bringing something new to music. And I just kind of attached myself to Kenny because I really believed in him, his talent, his hustle. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm down. Let's move. Let's go to LA. So I packed my stuff up from Atlanta and moved to Los Angeles. I moved here as me, him, our engineer, and then our videographer just moved in like last year. So basically, we moved out here and just started hustling, trying to build our own thing. I didn't really want to go after placements as much as I wanted to build my own thing. And just in the past, really, last couple months, or the past like month or two, things are really starting to pick up for us. So it's finally starting to make sense. So yeah.
Well, that's super great to hear, because I think and that's something you mentioned before we started recording. You mentioned vØHn. Now, vØHn told me the same thing you just told me, which is like he was trying to do the placement thing for so long, and it just kind of drained him down. And he was like, I had to kind of evaluate my situation. He's like, now I'm trying to build my own thing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do this how I want to do it, and not just like what they're telling me to do as a producer, which is like you have to just chase placements constantly, and that's all you can do. It's like you shouldn't limit yourself to just that. Like, I think that's always going to be a part of it, where you want to work with as many artists as possible, and hopefully big artists and things like that. But there's nothing wrong with like being able to have your own artists and develop a sound and build from the ground up, because that's how it really gets going and how you have long-term success. So I think like what you and Kenny are doing is such an important thing, and that's how you guys are going to see like prosperity in the long run, honestly. So that's super awesome. You mentioned you worked with Sci-Hi. What song was that? Because I'm a huge Sci-Hi fan.
Okay, it was on his album. It was the song called "Don't Know Why." It was the one.
Oh, okay.
Featuring
with the R&B group, right?
Right.
What's their name?
Man, I'm having a blank. Featuring yeah, let me look.
Jagged Edge. Jagged Edge.
That's funny. I'm having a super blank moment. Lots been going on lately.
It was Jagged Edge. Yeah.
Featuring. Yeah. Yep. Very interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I got that through a good friend of mine, Mark Byrd. Mark Byrd is really dope dude. He's from Chicago originally.
I interviewed him on this podcast, actually.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you said about Charity, and I think Charity and Mark are like working closely together. Like, I think like they're kind of in a situation together now. Like, I don't know if he's like signed to him or something, but I remember him mentioning that a bunch in our interview. So that's really cool how it all kind of connects then.
Nah, for real, yeah. It's a small community. Once you really start like working, once you really start working in the music stuff, the community gets smaller. You know what I'm saying? And it's all about collaboration and things, and having good just working with good people. Like, so Mark's a good person, you know what I mean? So he's a good person. He helped us out. That was me and Charity's like first like just major label placement, which is cool. But yeah, I really started changing my direction. The chasing the placement thing, that does get exhausting, especially when you don't have like a name brand as a producer yet or anything like that. It just feels like a constant chase. And I just from the people that the examples that have been set for us, I just know that building up your own artists, like, and bringing the industry to you is like the way that like placements start chasing you. Instead of you chasing them, the opportunities start coming towards you. So I always wanted to be, I want to be the guy that they call and not be the one calling other people for the opportunities. So, and it's starting to happen. Like me and Kenny, our stuff, we finally got our first like big like Spotify playlist on our records, and we're expecting we were prepared for this opportunity, so we have a lot of music coming out. So I think this next like year is going to be really big for us.
That's super awesome, man. Well, congrats on all that, and we'll probably get into that more here later in the episode. But I am curious to know, what DAW are you using, and kind of like how does your creation process begin? Because from what I've heard from you, it seems like you're very melodic in your approach, like a lot of melody-based songs and things like that. Are you starting with drums most of the time, or like does it really not matter? Does it kind of all depend on the situation, or how's that going for you?
Right. I guess it just depends on the mood and the vibe and like where I'm at, like in that current. I go through waves. So definitely in the last, like even probably in the last almost like I want to say like year or so, it's been a lot of like melodic based stuff. I've been coming across a lot of dope friends and people that make really cool samples and just trying to have catchy melodies and stuff. For a while, first of all, to answer your question, the first question, I use Ableton. I've been on Ableton for a long time. I'm like I was saying earlier, for like 8 years, I've been on Ableton. And it's just I'm just really quick, fascinated. I do want to learn FL though. I want to have it. I've tried it, but so many people around me are using it, which makes me want to learn it more, just to be able to collaborate with them, like on a deeper level. But I still haven't really picked it up yet. I'm on Ableton. Lately my process, just since I've been so tapped in with Kenny, and we're doing a lot of just more just rap, club. Just that type of vibe. I don't use too many instruments recently, so like I've been using to churn out, from when I'm trying to churn out a bunch of records quickly. I'll bring up samples that my friends send me. Really just try to start with catchy melodies. So we're in the business right now, at least me and Kenny particularly, of making just catchy music. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to like find something catchy, and it's like an easy bounce. I've been going to I try to make it like creative while staying in a pocket that is catchy or familiar to people, and that's like currently. I feel like I am a jack of all trades, so I do like to make all kinds of music. But right now, this has been like the last year or so, I've been on a very melodic rap, or just simple trap type wave. So that's how my process has been, like pull up a melody or make a melody really quick, the simple, and just build from there, really.
Now, I know I've seen like a lot of videos of you on Instagram, kind of in the studio and out of the studio. Are you right now at least more like working from the studio, or are you working at your house, or it doesn't really matter?
We have a studio at our house, and this is where we mainly have been working at. We have our engineer. When he moved out here, he moved like his whole home studio into our house. We lucked out somehow. We found a house in Los Angeles that has a basement. I'm actually, since you can see, I'll show you here. But so we have a big basement, and we turned it into a studio, and it's pretty cool. It's a nice little space. So we're here mainly because it's kind of like become our little hub. So if I haven't been moving around a lot, like lately, like going out to events or anything, like I just start inviting people to the studio, and I'll show you it right here. You know what I'm saying? It's a nice little space.
Yeah, it's decked
having
out.
our house.
That's nice.
Yeah, so I don't think not many people in Los Angeles do I know have this space in their house. So we do work a lot from our own home space. But yeah, we also do for Kenny. We've been doing writing camps. So we were able to have a writing camp at our house. That's how nice of the space it was. So we did it's like 4 days. Bring a bunch of producers here. We had like 3 different setups. We're about to do probably another like camp like that soon. But yeah. So I've been working a lot from the house, really.
That's super convenient too to have that, because I know a lot of people, like, if they do work from home, they kind of just have like the little mic and like the interface. You know what I mean? They don't have the full like room and everything going on. So for you, that's got to be like such a convenience to wake up and be like, I'm gonna go down there and just whip up all day. You know what I mean? Like, or just start getting ideas going and have like people come through and do that. So that's super awesome. And I wish people could see that, but take my word for it, it's a pretty nice studio, guys. He's got it going on down there. So I am curious to know who for you were your biggest musical influences coming up. Like, it could be producers or artists or both, but who were the people when you were growing up that you were like, I want to do music because of what they're doing, or like I enjoy them so much that I kind of want to pursue that path as well.
Right. Honestly, I remember I was like I think I was like middle school age. Yeah. It's around when Timbaland was like, and Timbaland and Pharrell were first having like their big runs, man. Like Timbaland was the first producer that made me like want to make beats. He was really just like, he was like at least in hip hop, he was like the first producer that I noticed as a kid. That I was I'd hear the beats and the music, and I'd be like, who's making this beat? Because it was just so wild and weird, but like it was so cool and like infectious. So I feel like starting off it was like Timbaland, then it ended up going into like Pharrell and Kanye, like those guys, man. Really, yeah, I feel like those 3, Timbaland, Pharrell, Kanye, were like some of my biggest inspirations. Like they literally made me want to be a producer and make music. Kanye too. I'm still like the biggest Kanye fan. Very inspirational. So really those guys. And then when it comes to like my favorite producers, it's just like the list just goes on and on. There's so many, but those guys really sparked my interest when I was younger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's like the Mount Rushmore right there. Just those 3 alone. Have you ever read Timbaland's autobiography by chance?
You know what? I haven't, but I've heard great things. I need to check it out.
Funny story. So when I was a senior in high school, I got put in school because I skipped class for like a week straight, and I got in-school suspension. So the second day of in-school suspension, the teacher told me I had to find something to do, and I was like, I don't have work. So I went to the bookstore and I bought his autobiography, and I just read for the whole day of in-school suspension. One of the greatest books I think I've read. And like that was like where I was like, man, I really want to like do what he's doing, because his story was just crazy, and there's so much shit in it that like I never would have guessed from him being like where he is now to like where he was. It's just really eye-opening. I'm gonna have to like I forget the name of it because I don't want to like steer you wrong, but I'm gonna send you like a picture of it and like give you the name and everything, because like I highly recommend that book, especially if you're like a big fan of him. Like, fucking crazy, man. That was one of the best books. I still have it in my room, but I'll send you that. Cause
I remember when it came out. I should have tapped in, but I don't know, for some reason I remember, I think Charity, it was back when I was living in Atlanta with Charity. I remember she read it and she was just telling me how dope it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out, actually.
Yeah. It really put into perspective for me like how you could just start from such a rough place no matter who you are, and just kind of like, if you just keep working, you'll get where you're going. And that's exactly what he did. And just to see where he is now, just doing so much for like the music community and everything, what he continues to do now, it's remarkable, man. So I'll definitely send that to you. So is there anyone that you haven't collaborated with yet that you'd say is kind of like a dream collaboration? Like, if you would really want to work with someone, who would that be?
I mean, so are you talking about producer, artist?
It could be anyone. It don't matter.
Oh man, I feel like that's a long list. So if I was to keep it short, it'd probably be like Kanye and Pharrell. Specifically. I mean, I would say like Timbaland or Dr. Dre or somebody too, but like I feel like Kanye and Pharrell they're a little more like just active right now in the game. So I definitely Pharrell in particular, because I feel like he's still doing so much dope stuff musically. There's so many like just more modern producers that I really want to work with. I feel like it's I'm gonna make that happen at some point. But like the Pharrells, like the guys that I grew up with, like that I've been wanting to work with, and then also like take it a step further, like Kendrick, Cole, Drake. I feel like it's the typical like everybody's like dream collabs. Same with me.
I mean, you gotta aim high, you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So you never know.
Right.
I mean, you could eventually land that eventually. Speaking of which, I'm waiting for all those guys to drop their damn albums. Like, where are they at?
Facts.
Like, what the hell, man? Every day I'm waking up hoping for some news, and we got nothing. So,
it's all good. It'll be a perfect time when the world opens back up more. It'll make sense.
I got a feeling they're all coming for the summertime because, like, it's been this long with nothing. So I feel like the summer's gonna be pretty crazy. I have a feeling, but we'll have to see what happens.
Tight.
So out of, all the projects you've been a part of, songs you've been a part of, like, what would you say is your most memorable moment as far as, like, something you've worked on already?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're in the middle of some of our most memorable moments right now. It's honestly just, like, me and Kenny's records getting on, like, just getting playlisted on Spotify and, like, it's going really well. And then, like, even the guy, Carl Cherry, at least how his name's pronounced, he's one of the main dudes at Rap Caviar, which is like the biggest playlist that we could possibly get on Spotify, at least rap wise. He like tweeted our song. Like, so right now I feel like it's some of the most exciting times are happening right now because we're building this from the ground up. So whatever happens with these records, it's like it's gonna be totally ours, completely independent. So I feel like we're really right now in the middle of some of our most exciting times, and me personally in the middle of some of my most exciting times as a producer, man, because just seeing something that I'm independently doing, with my homies, and it's doing really well, so like right now, so it's a good time to be just talking about this stuff because everything's going really well, man.
That's got to be the best feeling, too, to just know that, like, you guys created that from nothing, you know what I mean? Like, you've just been working hard, and now it's paying off, you know what I mean?
No, exactly, man. And we're, like, independent, so we don't have all the cheat codes or the answers. We have to just kind of figure it out on our own. It's working.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Kenny, and you mentioned Charity, and a few others. Is there anybody else that, you collaborate with a lot that you really enjoy working with, and you guys have a good chemistry going together?
Producer wise, I have a handful of like frequent collaborators. I'd say recently I work really heavily with my boy's 9-3. 9-3 is a really dope producer out here in California. He just recently did stuff for like Tory Lanez. I work a lot with my boy Nabian, just amazing producer, amazing with making like melodies, but just amazing overall producer. And he's been doing really well too. He's done stuff for like Drake and like also he's one of the people that were like literally working on the album for Kenny with my boy Oh Gosh, also another just amazing producer. I'm always tapped in with him. These are all LA homies, but they're all amazing. And if you haven't peeped them, I definitely recommend you like checking them out. So those guys are all incredible.
I gotta reconnect with Nabien because I talked to him last summer about being on the show, but I think something came up, so we never made it happen. But I gotta hit him up again because I really want to get him on the show for sure. I'm familiar with his work.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's an amazing dude too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you talked about, kind of your journey and kind of how important it was to, move out of your surroundings, right, and kind of change the, your scenery a little bit to kind of continue pushing your career in the right direction. So For you, what would you say is the most
Right.
important part about networking for you and like meeting new people? Like how important has that been to your growth, as far as like just continuing to move your career upwards? And another important question is, you kind of touched on it already. Is it more important to network across with the people around you or try and network up? You kind of answered it already, but just kind of to reaffirm that whole thing.
Right. Well, like, of course, I guess networking is super. It's almost like everything, man. Whether it's in person or on the internet or whatever, just we're in a business of people. You know what I'm saying? The music business is made out of people, so you have to meet people to like learn about it, or or just to grow, or unless you just want to make music on your own in your bedroom and then like drop it online, and like it just goes in hand in hand with making with like being in the business. Is just meeting people and moving around, doing things, learning new stuff. I mean, and in my experience so far, like really networking with the people around you has been more beneficial than like just trying to aim for people that you don't really know. It helps, but like it just depends on your space and like what kind of person you are and what you have to offer. You know what I mean? Because most people that are like, I guess, ahead of you in the game, if you want to call it that, if you're approaching them, you just have to have something to offer them. You know what I mean? So it makes sense for certain people to network up. Like maybe if you have like super crazy samples that they can't get anywhere else, something like that. But also, if you're in the right environment, networking around you is like the most beneficial. If you're around people that are growing, you know what I mean? So like, if you're in Los Angeles and you're moving around, yeah, you should network with people around you. I don't know necessarily if you might do it, say, I'm not trying to like say anything bad about it, but like if you're necessarily in Ohio or whatever, you might hit a plateau. You know what I'm saying? But depending on your environment, you should be networking around you. That's what I think. But also just be smart about who you surround yourself with, because a lot of my homies, they're trying to level up, they're trying to be better. Like I guess to put it shortly, the only reason I would ever network around me and keep it on that wave is if the people around me are better than me at certain things. You know what I mean? And that's what I would recommend. So, yeah.
For me, I think like it honestly feels more organic to network across and with the people around you, because you're like I think you kind of mentioned it's like you're starting from the same starting point, right? Like you're not over here and then someone's already way ahead of you in this race per se, and then you're trying to catch up with them, right? So it's like you will build together much better if you're just at the same starting point and you can learn together and figure things out together. And I don't know, to me that's just way easier than trying to aim all the way up here when it's like and another thing is like I've always thought about how do the people up there view what you're doing. It's not that they don't want to work with you because they've never heard of you. It's because think about all the different things that they have now that they didn't have when they were where you are. All the responsibilities, you know what I mean? It's hard to be like work with everyone at that point. So
exactly,
it's more about perspective too than anything with that whole thing. And I think it's a misconception that when people start out, they immediately want the top and they immediately want to work with the biggest artist. But it's like, if you really want to have long-term success, I'd say the best thing to do is find people around you or people, where you want to go and just start building. You know what I mean? So I just kind of wanted.
For sure.
I enjoyed the way that you like described that, especially in the beginning too, with like what you and Kenny are doing is like you're seeing success because of that, because you've took the time to build this up together. You know what I mean? So that's super important. So as far as the business side goes, is there any advice that you would give to really anyone in music in general? Because a lot of this stuff applies to you no matter what you're doing in the business. Is there anything that you didn't know that you were kind of, had to learn as you went that you think is important for people to know and understand about, contracts or anything like that?
I would just say don't rush into any contracts. Don't rush into anything that gives away your rights to anything that you do creatively or intellectually. I haven't really been in any bad contracts myself, but I've definitely been around people that have. I've had friends. I've had friends that are artists that are signed to record labels that owe money, and they're kind of like shelved. Because you see maybe they signed a contract just like that's too early. They didn't really know what they're getting themselves into. So when you get to that level, that situation, I would just definitely be weary of like what you're doing contractually. And then I'm always hearing like just to be wary about like for producers particularly, like publishing deals. Try to like not get them too early. I remember S1 Von's dad used to always tell the story about how long it took him like a long time to get out of his publishing deal. Just depending on it's like timing. It's like depending on when you sign it. But really, besides that, I would just tell people to just like try to do your best to learn about the business and do business correctly, and not be somebody that's difficult to do business with, because that like can make people not want to work with you, which is something I've been seeing, as of late. If somebody's just difficult to work with, but some people might not go back to you. Literally, some managers, artist managers might not work with certain producers because they're difficult to do business with. So I'm seeing that happen. So I would just say learn the business and try to do it well.
So I know you talked about you and Kenny have a ton of records coming out very soon again. Do you have anything else that you can reveal that you've been working on? I know you can't probably speak about a lot of stuff, but you don't want to jinx it. But is there anything else that we can look forward to maybe this summer or later this year?
I'm working on. Well, see, I do have like some sample packs that I've been putting together, so I will be expecting that to come like at some point this year. Just some different content, some different things under my OK Coop name, so like different products and stuff. I'm working on like my own personal music too. I'm just not rushing it. I'm kind of like taking it as it comes. I'm still figuring out the vibe for that. And then besides that, just like certain little projects that I've been collaborating with some of my friends to try to get on. But really, our focus right now, my main focus for like the next couple months is on Kenny's stuff. We have his EP coming out later this year, and we're already working on the album for next year. And it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be really crazy. Y'all gonna see. It's gonna be really crazy.
That's awesome. Now I gotta ask: are we gonna hear you rapping or singing on your music? Can you reveal that?
Yeah. So I have been like I do write. I do help write with Kenny and then some other artists some other independent artists I work with. So that is gonna come at some point. I have some records already, but I'm just not rushing it, because when I do come out as an artist, it's not gonna be like, oh, I drop a song here and then I'm gone. I'm gonna like really I'm gonna really attack it. I'm gonna really put out a whole body of work and like really make sure that my vibe is felt. So yeah, awesome. Expect that. It'll happen eventually. For sure.
I'm looking forward to that, because I'm interested to see how that's gonna go. Like I feel like you could pull that off.
It's gonna be a vibe.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. So I know you're on Instagram. Are you on any other social media where people can find you at?
I have a Twitter, but I'm not as active. But it's on. There's the same handle as the Instagram. But I'm mainly on Instagram. That's where I'm on. I like the visual aspect of it, so that's where I'm on usually.
Twitter's kind of the dead platform, so it's like it. I think everybody that I've asked social media to, they're like, yeah, Twitter. I have one, but I don't use that. So
yeah, it's certain. It's useful for information, but I feel like it's a certain niche that some of us just aren't tapped into. Yeah. It's still alive for like certain people in our culture, but I'm just not on the wave. I will go and then like see information on there every now and then, though, but I'm not active.
Yeah, totally understandable. So I only got a few more questions for you, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself advice or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you'd do?
I would 10 years ago. Okay, so 10 years ago, that'd be like I was in the middle of college. Shoot, honestly, 10 years ago, I would probably have, I don't regret anything at all, but I probably would have told myself to just drop out and just do music. I graduated to college and everything, but I'm not like really using my degree. So I knew when I was in college that I wanted to make music, but I wasn't completely convinced that I could just like, I was trying to like have the plan B, the backup plan that my parents, wanted me to have. But honestly, I probably would have just told myself, yo, just drop out and go do it confidently. You know what I mean? Because if you just do it confident, like manifest what you want, you can make it happen. I wasn't ready yet mentally. I didn't think I could do it. You know? But that's probably what I would do. I'd probably tell myself to drop out and just like go for it. But I don't regret going to college at all, though, because that's where I met a lot of my people that I work with. So,
So 10 years from now, then, where do you think you see yourself in your career or in your life in general?
Oh, man. Hopefully, I'll be right there with all the people I looked up to, the Pharrells and the Timbalands. Everybody's just going to be established. I feel like I'll have got all the, hits and the accolades and stuff that I wanted to in music, and really, eventually, especially after I already conquer some of this music stuff, I do want to get into like fashion and building my own brand. And I'll probably 10 years from now, I will probably be just producing for artists when I feel like it, and probably working on my fashion brand. Honestly, man.
Super dope, man. So, do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
Yeah, I would say, some of the wisest advice I always listen to, man, is just how our minds are so powerful. Like, we manifest like so much things. So like, if everybody, I'm like, you talk to a lot of producers, so you're talking to a lot of people that are like trying to create and manifest these lofty dreams. They seem lofty, but they're really not. I was just telling anybody that if they're trying to do something that seems difficult, just like believe 100%. Like, believe in it and act on belief, not fear, because that's what gives me the most success in in life, really. Just act on your beliefs, not your fears.
Well, Coop, that's all I have for you today, man. Like I said, I really appreciate you getting back with me about being on the show, and it was a quick turnaround, and I'm looking forward to all the music you got coming with Kenny and your own music and everything else you're working on, and hopefully we can do this again sometime, man.
Yo, I appreciate you, Anthony. Appreciate you, man, for real.
Thanks, everyone, for listening today. That was episode number 47. We'll be back same time next week. Feel free to hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform to send any funds. Thank you very much.